So you want to invest in a high cash flowing short-term rental, but you're unsure of what it's going to cost you up front to furnish the property. This is a common question, and if that's the case for you, this video is going to be perfect for you because I'm going to go through in extreme detail exactly what it costs you today to furnish a high cash flowing 2-unit property. And I'm also going to share with you a link to download the clickable checklist for every single item that I'm going to go over today. There's a lot to think through when you're trying to plan out furnishing an entire property from top to bottom and making sure that your guests are totally comfortable and that you're not forgetting anything. We recently had a member of our first vacation rental investment blueprint program go through this process, and he took the template that we provide. We provide a clickable checklist of all the furnishings that we recommend putting into your property, and he modified it a bit and he updated it with today's pricing because pricing is always changing. And so I thought it was really interesting looking at it to see what exactly it will cost room by room to furnish a 2-unit with today's pricing in 2024. So I'm going to share this with you, but before I do, I just want to mention that this is a checklist for a 2-unit, relatively affordable short-term rental. And I don't want to get too philosophical here, but I think it's really important to decide before you get started investing in short-term rentals, what it is that you want to accomplish as a result of investing in short-term rentals. Because you can look at this checklist and you could say, well, I invest in luxury high-end short-term rentals, and you might pay 10 times the amount that I'm about to show you for the furnishings that you put into your luxury high-end short-term rental. What I'm a huge proponent of, and you probably know this if you are a fan of this channel, is these small multi-unit properties in relatively low-cost areas. Typically you find them outside of larger cities throughout the Midwest and Southeast. And these are the types of properties that you can furnish really inexpensively. You can still make them look really, really nice, and they work for so many different reasons that people travel. You know, whether it's a vacation or it's some utilitarian reason like visiting family or going to a wedding or work travel, whatever the case may be. So these are solid, high cash flowing short-term rentals, and you have a lot more downside protection on these types of properties because they work as long-term rentals as well. So if there's ever a change in the laws or another COVID lockdown or what have you, you can always switch back and use them as long-term rentals, as opposed to a luxury high-end short-term rental where there's a lot more competition. The types of amenities and furnishings you're going to put in are going to be a lot more expensive, and if anything changes and you need to rent that as a long-term rental, it's never going to cash flow. So I just want you to keep that in mind as you're looking at this list. Hey, real quick, the sponsor for today's video is the #1 banking platform built specifically for rental property investors. I am constantly looking for the best tools to manage my properties and my finances, and in my opinion, Baselane has built the ultimate all-in-one solution. Baselane allows you to set up unlimited virtual bank accounts and debit cards for better visibility in your cash flow and finances, and you can also do other things like sign leases with tenants, collect rent, keep track of your books, and review your analytics, and finally, it's all in one place. Plus, they have the industry-leading annual percentage yield, which is just a fancy way of saying you make a lot more money on the money that you have deposited in your Baselane bank accounts. So I personally use the platform along with over 40,000 other real estate investors. So you can use the link that just popped up, and it's also in the video description below, and open as many business bank accounts as you want, and it's all for free. The link is baselane.com/Kirby, which is my first name. That's BASELANE.com/KIRBY. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. And just a reminder, you can download this spreadsheet for free at the link in the description. And every item that we're going to talk about here is linked in the spreadsheet. So it makes it super simple to furnish an entire household pretty quickly. So we're going to start going room by room. That's how it's broken down. And we'll start with the kitchen because that's where you're going to order most of the items is for the kitchen. And it starts with all just like the general items like dishes, utensils, sippy cups, kids stuff. This has all the kids stuff that you would want for a short-term rental. You've got pizza cutter, ice cream scoop, mixing bowls, baking stuff. Like all of these items are things that guests really love having. Sometimes you'll go into a short-term rental and it's just super sparse. It's like the bare essentials. And those are the types of properties that really struggle in terms of reviews but we get comments all the time that we felt right at home. We could bake anything we wanted because you had everything provided. So I think it's really important to think through every item, and they're all listed right here. So after that, we get into the small appliances, and the more of these you can provide, the better. Obviously, you're gonna need a coffee maker. Most people wanna make coffee. You're gonna need a toaster, stuff like that. You know, you can add things like a electric griddle, an air fryer. These are things that are nice to have, not necessarily essential, but for the cost, it a lot of times makes sense. Get a cheap high chair at IKEA. You know, you're gonna need a broom, dustpan, vacuum, stuff like that. So that's everything for the kitchen. So when you add it all up, it's $35.55. And this is for again, it's for 2 units. So that's two of everything, basically. Then we get into the consumables in the kitchen, because you're gonna need all the things that stay in the kitchen, but then these are the things that get used up over time that you still wanna provide for your guests. So you can see what some of these things are, and that's about $1,600 just to get you started. Obviously, you're gonna have to replace all these things over time, but it gets you started. Then we move into the bedrooms. I'm a huge fan of these Zenith mattresses. That's what we put in all of our properties. Recently, some of them have come kind of firm, which I don't know if they've changed them up a little bit. So it's something to keep an eye on. You know, you might want to provide a pillow topper with it, if you know, or just make it available for your guests. If some people like, you know, softer beds, some people like more firm beds. But they started off, it seemed like they were softer before, but they're super low cost, super durable. They last a long time. We get a lot of comments that they're super comfortable. So you can order those right off Amazon. You can get the headboards and the frames, all that stuff from Amazon as well. These are things like the big things like the king frames. You know, you could order on marketplaces, or you could look for on marketplace as well and get locally. But for the price, a lot of times it just doesn't make sense to spend the time searching for that. So all this, almost all of this stuff you can get right off of Amazon in one spot, and it makes it super convenient to furnish your property. So for 2 units, that's $6,100 for those items, for the bedroom items. Then in the bathrooms, not nearly as much stuff as kitchen and bedrooms. So that's about $713. Then you've got your electronics. So I highly recommend, if you're running a short-term rental, that you have some smart home devices, some key ones, like an electric thermostat that you can reset. You know, if somebody stays in the winter and they turn the heat up to 85 degrees while they're there because they just love it blazing hot, well, you can have it reset to turn down, or you can do that manually from your phone, because the phone's connected to the smart thermostat once they check out or whenever. So, you know, these are the types of things that you can control. Having a doorbell camera is super important, so you can see who's coming and going throughout the stays. So stuff like that. So those are a few key electronic devices. And then obviously TVs, which have come down in cost a lot over the years. So that's $26.77. Then you got your laundry items, washer and dryer set, so $2,800. Then furniture in the general, the general living area, a couple of sofas, some chairs, coffee table, side tables, another $2,300. So this is a grand total of right around $20,000. Now, this spreadsheet was designed for a specific 2 unit. So there might be things that you want to adjust or change for your specific property that you're doing, or there might be some like decor items that you want to add to this. So it might not be exact in terms of translating exactly to your property, but I think it's going to be pretty close, and it's got today's pricing on it, which is really nice. Furnishing a property is one key component to a long list of items that are really essential if you're going to invest in short-term rentals. And I personally work with people to walk them through the entire process of finding a great deal, buying the property, how to furnish the property, how to finance the property, how to set up all your systems going forward to manage it and keep it running really smoothly. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the link that just popped up. You can set up a call with me. It's a link right to my calendar. There's a few questions to fill out in advance, and then you get access to my calendar, and we can talk through your goals, and we can talk through the details of the program and see if it's a good fit for you. Thanks for joining me for this video. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.